Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So here I am again, Cain of GB Fitness. Today, our guest is all the way from Thailand. Let's just see if he's with us. I'm just going to get him. It's probably a little bit of a... Here he is. We have a guest coming from Thailand. So let's admit him and see who pops up. Here he is. Wee man. Can you see me okay and hear me? You need to connect to the audio. Here he's coming. He's coming all the way from Thailand. Right? Unmute. Unmute. Bottom left. Unmute your microphone. Just click on the microphone thing.
There we are.
Oh, here he is. Nobody's going to understand you anyway. I've just realised I haven't booked a translator or sign language.
I was going to ask if you got anything to translate, but I was going to try my best to pronounce my team.
See what we can do. How are you?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well, regardless of the matter. I've been stuck out here. I worked out early yesterday. This is the 7th week.
7.
From what was apparently meant to be a 2-week holiday. So
well, we're going to go into that because last time I saw you was 2 days before you flew and literally like 24 hours before we went on lockdown, if I remember. Timing, mate. I've heard from the ladies your timing's just... But this takes the biscuit.
It's been a whirlwind experience with that. Seeing you from the Friday to leaving on the Sunday for a friend. To then be 50 days and still a year. But
that long because I haven't really kept track of time. So because I'm sure it's the same for you. It's like somebody put a post up this morning. Actually, a neighbour said about bank holiday because I'm not sure if you know, but we've got bank holiday Friday because it's VE Day. I'm sure you know about this from before you went. I don't know what the news is there. And she said, have we got it Monday as well? Somebody said no. I was like, it's bank holiday every freaking day. Who needs another bank holiday? But do you want a bank holiday so the shops close early or everybody's off work? That's kind of what's happened.
I've been struggling to keep up the days because the days
are a bit mad. Just want to check, mate. I'll do the same. Is your if you're using your phone, just make sure notifications, whatever, on silent or do not disturb or whatever.
Yeah, I think I've got all that on.
Cool. Well, you're coming through loud and clear.
Good. I'm glad. I was worried for the connection. I was worried in case it was a bit of bother, but I've managed to find a wee spot in the place that I'm staying at the moment. So I'm fingers crossed that the interview goes well and the connection stays up.
Cool. Well, if you stop bobbing backwards and forwards, that'll be a bonus. You look like you're busy giving somebody a bit of Thai loving.
Enjoying the sun. I'm enjoying the sun. That's all I can do.
I've got my t-shirt on for you, by the way.
Good.
It's a kilt if I wore underwear. Sorry, it's a kilt. It'd be a skirt if I wore underwear. So somebody put up, obviously being VE Day, and apart from that, any frigging excuse. So me and Oscar, I'm sure you've seen, have an insight into certain superheroes, and apparently the Guilty Boys are going to be out this week. So.
Good.
Let's hope it's not too windy.
Well, or too cold. But
yeah, that's my excuse. So, give people a bit of background how we met. In fact, I've interviewed somebody, Stuart, the physio.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, so we met pretty much in the same, well, it was the same academy school, so Functional Sports Nutrition Academy in London. I remember I should have left by a different exit. But give people a bit, I love you. Give people a bit of background and then, what you went on to do. So, kind of give us a recap on the literally the last 6 years, really.
I mean, it's been a long time. So I suppose if you look into the aspects of me coming into the whole fitness and nutrition point of view, I was very fortunate because like you say, I met you at the functional sports nutrition course where I was 18-year-old. I suppose prior to that, I followed into the whole fitness and health from a cosmetic and a vanity point of view because I wanted to get in better shape. So I did what probably most people did. I looked at men's health and then I got into social media and I started to follow the people that had the biggest followers or the biggest platforms and led from there. But then I can't actually remember how I came about it, but I'm grateful that I did, that I came upon the functional sports nutrition course.
Mm-hmm.
And so I signed up for it, and I went down to London, an 18-year-old guy, and I went in a classroom full of medics and health practitioners and physiotherapists and all sorts.
Yeah, there was a high level. Lots of them were well-established
practitioners. Extremely high level, to the point where very early on, I probably had either two options where I could sit down, and try my best to take in what the information was given out by each of the lecturers, or I could easily just walk out and say, this is too much, but I chose not to. So the first day, I remember it being well over my head, and then the second day was when you presented, and for whatever reason, the way you presented, the way you spoke, the way you discussed topics, it resonated. And it's much like anybody else will have that teacher at school where they know and they could always recall that person, they gauged and you understood them well, and you learned best from them, and you were that. So, I mean, the topics were extremely difficult. I was an 18-year-old boy who was getting ready to go to university, but not exactly too sure what to do, and had topics on, DNA analysis, endocrinology, phlebotomy, and some guys that were on the top of the field, and I chose to stick with it. And then your second day when you presented, I thought I had an opportunity to speak to you at the very end, or not.
You didn't give me a choice.
Well, this is it. I mean, for me personally, I had two options. Either I go back to where I was staying and then attend the third day and probably be in the same position where I was in the first, not really knowing what was going on, and not take anything from it. Whereas I thought, do you know what? No, I found somebody who I can learn from, who I resonate with, who I understand his method of teaching. And I thought, if this is where I want to get to, then I've got one chance to go and chat to them, because they're either going to turn and say no and tell me to leave, or they're going to say, yes, let's sit down. And then going back to that, and you'll know yourself, prior to me going down to that, I had an experience at Body Power, and we'll not name names because we don't need to, but I was on I suppose an online learning course, and then I had the
with
chance
a big name, right or wrong, a big name in the industry, as you said, with huge following.
Yeah.
Not deserved, but okay.
It was Ben Cooper, and I remember meeting him at Body Power, and I said to him, I said, listen, I've signed up to your course purely based on the fact that he did have a large following, and at that point I thought that he was the man in the know, and he looked at me and turned away and fucked off, if I can excuse the profanity, but that was
right, man.
Do you know what, deflating. It was upsetting because...
But you were actually, I mean, I wasn't going to mention a name, but you were subscribed to his education program. Is that right?
Yeah, I was. And see, after that, I left it, regardless.
What was it, just to expand on the attitude of some of the people in the industry, because it drives me frigging mad. This is Adam, who's a young 18-year-old guy who's on a course, correspondence predominantly, and you go up to the guy that runs the company and he's the course tutor, and you asked him for some help. What was it he actually said to you?
Do you know what? I can't remember, but it was basically, I remember him just looking at me, sort of sighing, and then moving on. He wasn't interested.
If I remember right, you asked him about some stuff, and he said, "Speak to my staff. I have people do that for me."
Yeah, you're right. And then this is what that was. It was upsetting. It was upsetting to be honest. And so, for me to then that second day when you were presenting, to grab you at the end and then speak to you, which to be fair, I thought I was only going to chat to you for 10 minutes. However, I kept on to you, and it must have been well over an hour. And from there, I thought, do you know what? This is somebody that I can learn from, but not necessarily just that, but somebody that's interested in hearing what I have to say and is willing to help. Because I think the focus on probably what we're going to talk about today is the value of having somebody to be there for you, much like a personal trainer and accountability, but having a mentor that you can resonate and learn from. Because I mean, if you opted to not do what you did, then I don't know where I'd be at this point. Because following on from that, we then finished the course down in London, the 4 days, and then I asked if I could pay for your time. And within a week or two, I was down to Birmingham to see you, and we sat down and you guided me in where or what to look at. And from there, I then went on to go to university. And I did 4 years of human nutrition and dietetics.
You did, man.
So, and it's a case of having somebody like that to then, to be honest with you, to be there for you, and it's been massive in where I am today, regardless of being in Thailand at the moment.
Well, we'll get to the Thailand bit, but you've really applied yourself, and to me, it was a no-brainer. Stood talking to you, as much as I was suited and booted and couldn't wait to get a shower, because anyone that's seen me present knows I need to freshen up. And if I remember it, well, I know when it was. It was May time, Central London, Cavendish House, and I'm a little trolley case, and I was staying at the Royal Society of Medicine, of which I'm a senior associate member. Not sure I slipped through that net. But this young man stopped me, and to me, it just didn't occur to me to not speak to him. We were chatting away, and we've literally made a lifelong friendship. He came down, as he said, spent half a day with me. We sat outside the Horseshoe, had some nice food and some nice views. That's closed now, by the way. That's no more. They've closed that day, and he got in a bit of trouble. But it was a lovely kind of gastro pub. So we spent some social time learning.
You have literally, for being me, a young guy coming down to London, from Scotland, for you to stop and taking the time to speak to me. I know it went along a lot longer than planned, but it's made a massive impact. It made a massive impact. And I suppose if we look from me starting off after the whole, getting involved in that side, but to get myself involved in an educational course, which was very in-depth.
Yeah,
very,
so
very
of course you did. Down there was challenging, but you went on and you've studied with me since on my courses, but, a 4-year degree, diving into a big subject matter and, placements. Tell us where you did for your course. Tell us where you did your placements.
So I attended Glasgow University and did the 4 years in human nutrition and dietetics. So it was great, but saying that, what I learned from prior was different. So the part of the big aspects of my degree was to then go into placement, and basically the course itself tailored to you being a dietitian within the hospitals, which is great because the hospitals need dietitians. They're very important. They might be overlooked and that, but whatever. So I then went and did a 2-week spell in Stornoway in one of the hospitals, followed by
for people that don't know Stornoway, that's a bit like New York or London or something. Is that right?
The absolute opposite. The fair end. Stornoway is a very small part of the Western Isles, and it's I can't even tell you how much the population is, but it's very small. But basically,
about 7, I think.
Probably, they're all related, I think. So.
Whoa, I didn't say that. Anybody up in Stornoway watching? That's the opinion of Adam Alzadjally. You can't have no responsibility or share this opinion.
So,
just because they have webbed fingers, I'm not judging.
Yeah, so I did the 2 weeks there, which was good, and I had a friend in my course that was very helpful and supportive, and the people up there were great. And then following on towards the end of my degree, I did 3 months in Glasgow's Queen Elizabeth Hospital, which is the new big super hospital. And then following by that, I was up in Dundee. And don't get me wrong, like I say, the work that dietitians do in the hospitals were great. However, for me personally, because I think earlier on I'd been introduced to what you can learn out with that, I felt kind of a bit deflated, because after studying 4 years of doing things like pharmacology, biochemistry, parts of psychology, doing a lot of ins and outs, and some of it was very hard. But the way that dietitians are treated, and sometimes I felt the way that they act in the hospital, was like their arsenal of tools weren't what I thought they would be. There was no talks about supplementation or, the extent of what a dietitian could do in terms of increasing people's calories was to ask a person if they're willing to put, butter on their bread or put jam on their crackers. And that was the means, or by using ensures as a form of supplementation. And I get it. I get that, the NHS on a budget, and saying at the moment in terms of what's going on in the pandemic, you can't fault them, because what the NHS are doing is fantastic.
Yeah,
but to me, I was introduced early on to what individuals can do, and I just couldn't get away from that. I felt like that was my calling, and that's why at this moment in time, obviously, regardless of being stuck out in Thailand, I wouldn't work for the NHS, because I've seen personally from you and other people that have been introduced by you, the powers at BU as in terms of what you can do on an individual basis, purely based on the fact that you have taken the time to learn, to grasp, to all these different things, be it testing or NLP or anything like that. And I just think that's probably one of the most outstanding things to do, because don't get me wrong, working as a dietitian within the hospitals, regardless of the 6 months that I had, you learn to deal with people on an empathic level. But I was amazed. I was amazed by the way that you behaved and the way that you taught, and continuing on for your courses, and even you talking about individual clients and things that you've done. So honestly, to highlight, I suppose, with me and speaking to you at the moment, is the value of having a mentor, and continuing from there, and an ongoing mentor. Not again, mentor is probably a key thing that I look at you, but again as a friend, because honestly, it's changed my life. It absolutely changed my life, being introduced to that from the extreme, and it was up to me to then take on that. And I chose to listen to you. I chose then to go to university. Don't get me wrong, university is a very good thing. Regardless, some people have to go to university to do certain things, but I will say that it's not the be all and the end all. You find the correct people, and I was fortunate to find you and Amaru and people like that from the get go, and to learn from that and accept that and understand that it's going to take a long time to learn these things, but you have to go from there. And that's why even today, I'm a manager in the bar at the moment. I'm the
it's
furthest thing away.
Good to see you putting all that high level functional medicine, nutrition, and 4-year dietetics to use.
I know I'm the furthest away, but I have to then get to a point where I'm like, okay, for myself, then be ready to do that.
Yeah, and you've got to put it into the arena that you want to. And we've talked about this. I would hate to see you not waste it, because if you love the bar work, you love the bar work, and it's a social aspect and it pays the bills. But by the same token, if you went into the system, you mentioned NHS, obviously dietetics, it's very controlled, regulated as to what you can say, what you can't say, very policed. And you're not going to be, I told you this, do it, finish it. You might not be happy in that arena, but the skills that you have with all the extras you've done, it's going to open doors. But it's at the right time. It's when you're ready, mate.
Well, the skills that I learned within doing the dietetics was excellent. Your people skills and your interpersonal skills, and dealing with physiotherapists and other allied health professionals, and dealing with the doctors and how you deal with that. These are lifelong skills that I will remember regardless of it just being 6 months. But there's scope for working on your own in that regard, and having that caliber. Don't get me wrong, I've got friends that have went from university and are working as dietitians, and they're doing really well, and they're doing great things. But for me personally, I just think that, like I say, I was so fortunate to be introduced to, I suppose, the future. Because if we go back to my university, my dissertation was on nutrigenomics, something that the majority of my class, even lecturers, had no idea on. And that was from when I had met you and Mara, the functional sports, just kind of at the very start. And I felt like that was just something that blew my mind. And it took me probably 4 or 5 years to really grasp, to then write a dissertation on that. And I just think this is the forefront of what personalised health is going to be. And I mean, it's something that's hard to comprehend. It's hard to put into words just how much of an impact that had for me. I highly doubt there's going to be another person who was probably at my age who got introduced to that.
But there was nobody else in that room. I mean, Stuart, like me, he's no spring chicken. Paul Aaron, he used to ride a dinosaur at school. George competes in the Masters. These are the people that I've interacted with, that have come and studied with me, have become friends and stuff. But you were by far the youngest person. And you talked about, and it was a nice lad. He was a well-built guy, personal trainer. Can't remember his name, but he did one day, came up to me, said that he loved the bit that I did. I only did a little bit on day one. My main bit on day two was immunology, suppression, central nervous system, blah blah blah. But he said, I just can't hack it, pal. And he was like, look, I'd like to keep in touch. The sad thing is he never followed it up. You did, but you jumped in, not to the deep end, mate, into the abyss. But you came up with your head proud, and look, what you've achieved with your qualifications and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'll be honest. The 3 days in the class and then followed by the day's lecture, and it was well beyond me. But like I say, I had two options: to allow that to just be like, oh, I can't do that, and then leave it at that, or I'll be like, no, I'll find somebody like yourself. I resonated with your teaching and your mannerism, and I thought, no, I'm going to speak to you. I'm going to ask you, and then it worked out in my favour, because you were so generous. You gave me the time that I needed, and then to be here. you know. So I can't fault you for that. And if anybody else is listening to this who's perhaps been in my position or will ever be in my position, you know, stick with it, because if you give up, then you'll never know. But I mean, it was hard for me. Don't get me wrong. University is a great place to enjoy the social aspect, but at the same time, it's a great learning curve. But it's not the be all and end all. You know, you find the right people that are producing the right material and telling the truth, and you'll do great. You'll do great, because with what you do, you know, the way you impacted my life wasn't necessarily a health or a physique related thing. It was a knowledge point of view, and I can never show my appreciation to that. Like that, it's crazy. It's crazy.
But mate, you're a good friend. Look, me and Adam we went basking shark diving last year off the coast in the Hebrides off Oban. We never sort of done basking shark. We saw an orca, which was awesome, and dolphins and stuff. But he's been down and stayed with me. I've stayed with him. We've, you know, talked about making plans to, you know, have holidays. He's awesome friend. My son Oscar loves him to bits. He calls him Cheesy Adam. Not sure why, but that's his name. He came out with that at the Edinburgh tattoo without a brief. I swear to this day, that was not, and I have a witness, that was not something he just said because you were out with us. And he said, where's Cheesy Adam? And to this day, it's stuck, and that was 6 years ago, and I think it's brilliant. But Oscar loves you, and he's created such an affinity, not just with you, but with Scotland. I mean, I was born in Scotland. You know, I apologise for speaking with an English twang, but you know, I'm proud to be from Glasgow and stuff. But Oscar has a real connection. You see him with the drums and the pipes. He loves it. But we came up last year, Port St. Ochan, and you know, went around the locks and went out to, you know, kind of the Hebrides and stuff. But he loves his time with you. So you know, we do need to get back together. Talking about being back together, what's happening in Thailand then? I mean, the world's gone crazy. I mean, I read this morning, by the way, because I know you want to get home and see your mum and other friends and family and stuff. But I can tell you now, I read something this morning about a lady that had come back from, she said, some islands where COVID hasn't really hit. So I don't know where she was, Philippines, Thailand, something. Through Melbourne, where it was super strict. They landed, they segregated people, they tested temperatures, they wouldn't let anybody, you know, get outside of their little group. You know, people were quarantined even at the airport in the transition. Stepped off at Heathrow. No advice was given on precautions. No social distancing was enforced. No PPE is being worn by any staff member at the airport. No temperatures were checked. No quarantine was even advised. Self-quarantine, because we've talked about this, and you've said first thing you'll do, get back, go to your place in Glasgow, and basically sit for 14 days and make sure everything's okay. What's happening in Thailand? Just so you know, people listening know the difference between what's happening in Thailand and here, because everyone would think it's a paradise. You know, playing on the beaches and the bars and drinking. It's not the case, is it?
It's amazing because it's a complete difference. So I flew in the 15th of March. So one of my good friends' wedding that we were out for. And so in the lead up to that, we flew into Bangkok, and we had a couple of nights in Bangkok that were fine. You know, we did the bars and
before anybody says anything, it's kombucha. It's ice cream free kombucha. Before anyone goes, cheese is on it. It's just kombucha. It's actually Oscar's. I need to go shopping, top him up.
So we had a few nights in Bangkok, and then followed by a couple of nights in Krabi, and then a night in PP, and then on to Phuket. And then from there, we had our friend's wedding on the 23rd of March. And pretty much theirs was the last wedding, that was on the calendar up until what had happened. Oh. And I tell you what, from then, staying in Ruai, I've been in Ruai now it'll be the 7th week. And honestly, the way that they've dealt with things has been tremendous, because the cases are low here. And that's not to necessarily just say that I don't know how their testing is. I don't know what their medical system's like over here, be it that they have to pay or it's like the NHS or whatever. But they were very quick to put in laws that they made you, by law, if you were outside, to put a mask on. It's like a surgical mask. Mm-hmm. They closed down the bars, the clubs, the restaurants, and the beaches. Anywhere that had people gathering, they closed that down. Put an alcohol ban in place. They closed the airport.
Say that last bit again.
I know. You might need to hear that. I know, but it was to cater for people not to social gather, which you
No, it's
understand.
good practice because people are going to have problems, you know, medically if they
So
abuse alcohol, mentally, but then it encourages people to get together and act irresponsibly. I mean, it's a harsh
so
move, but I think it's a good move.
and you know within Phuket that they've got the different districts, so they closed all them down, so you couldn't go from one district to the other.
Right.
Without, you know, be it a medical or like whatever reason, but
Yeah.
for the public, you couldn't go. They only had open small stores, so your things like your 7-Elevens for people that have been out in Thailand, or their other grocery stores or the pharmacies. To gain entry into there, you had to get your temperature taken, by one of the laser guns.
Right.
You were then given a hand sanitizer to go in.
So they're literally checking everybody's masked. So they've got PPE, they're checking your temperature, and then making sure you sanitize your hands before you go in the store.
Going in and going out. And then last Saturday, we also had health inspectors come in. So we had them come in, and they did much the same. They took down our passport information. They wanted to know where we are, wanted to know what groups we were in.
So when you say, just to make, because we've talked about it, but I think people are going to find this surprising because they probably think you're in an island paradise and enjoying it. So who came into where?
So it was the whatever the Thai government had set up. So basically, there were the doctors and the nurses and the other, suppose the APH that came in, and they took our temperatures. They gave us
into your accommodation where you're staying in.
Into our accommodation. They basically went door by door.
Door to door, folks. These are going door to door to people's homes.
Not just tourists, but for locals as well. They've gone door to door and doing it that way. And I can honestly say that the way that they've handled things has been terrific, you know, and they've actually even extended things now. So the lockdown measures were going to be reviewed on the 30th of April, and the government have decided to extend that. So up until May the 31st. So
to the end of May, because people here are all kicking off, and the freedom here is so much wider. And then people are abusing that. I've seen people congregating around canals, drinking. I've seen, you know, pub landlords having the back door open, you know, people going to gyms. There's all sorts of stuff. And yet people are saying, you know, we need our kids going back to school. And you guys have got people knocking on your door, checking, you know, your passports, your visas, taking temperature, asking questions about your health. We've got it very relaxed, people. Very relaxed.
Because people think that Thailand is a third world country, and yet the way they've done things have been terrific because they've been so strict. You know, it's been a bit of a nanny state in that regard, but it's been needed because the cases here are very low. You know, Bangkok might be a wee bit different, but I mean, they've closed the bridges from Phuket. So, I mean, we literally are supposed landlocked in regard to being in Phuket. We can't go beyond that. So I can't fault what they've done because we've all felt very safe, me and my friends that are out here at the moment. And see things that are going on back home in the UK and people disregard, you know, the police, I suppose, the police brutality, not that I've seen it, but I think they'd be very quick to say, like, you know, you can't be here, or you can't do this or that, Z. And also that they actually have a curfew in place. So from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., you're not allowed outside. You know, which hasn't really affected us because we've been here for a long time now. We don't really tend to go out beyond that. But it just highlights the importance of having a governing body to put down strict measures to prevent the spread, because I think if Thailand had cases like the UK, they would be overwhelmed, and they've not putting these measures that quickly.
So what's your kind of day-to-day activity? I mean, because there's a few of you together in the accommodation, like you said, there's basically nowhere you can go, which we would normally see as synonymous with a tropical paradise like Thailand. I mean, I've been, it's an amazing place, but if you're not going to the beaches and tourist attractions, what are you doing day to day?
So my day-to-day, so I'll get up in the morning and I'll go for a morning walk, because you're allowed to do that. So I'll go for a morning walk with my face mask on. I'm going to go out for about an hour. I'll go early before it gets too warm.
You've got to stay close to accommodation though, is that right?
Yeah, so within the sub-district. So I'm in Ruai at the moment. So it's quite a large district to be stuck in, which is good. So I'll do that, which is fine. So I'll do my hours cardio, just get out a wee bit, I suppose, just for a bit of peace of mind as well. Yeah. Go out on my own, come back in, and then from there, it's pretty much spent being inside, you know. And it's either, like, we're fortunate, I suppose, the villa that me and 4 other friends have, there's a small pool in that, which is great, but it's not really something for me. So most of it will be spent, and I'll be either reading up on things, or I'll be keeping in touch with friends and family. And that's the gist of it. Honestly, that is the gist of it. And thankfully, we're not too far from grocery stores where we can get food. I mean, the food's over here, which is great and it's healthy. So just really putting into or trying to do my best in terms of utilising the free time that we have at the moment and not wasting it, because, you know, if you leave lockdown without learning something or I think improving your health and that, then it's like, you know, for me personally, I feel it's a bit wasted. I'm in a place where I can do both, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it is, if you see it that way, and that's been a common theme of the people I've been talking to. If you see it as an opportunity, not everybody wants to, you know, study an academic and get a qualification, but just, you know, self-development, you know, getting into your own body and mind and improving your mindset or your physicality, making connections with friends and family and enhancing those. I'm getting to homeschool Oscar, which is an absolute, you know, gift to spend more time with him, because, you know, he's 8, he's actually loving it, because I do take responsibility, as does his mum. Is, as you know, half and half between the two homes. And we are giving him the schooling, but on top of that, we're going for long walks, we're dressing up, cheering people up, we're getting into nature, you know, we're sharing experiences, we're watching David Attenborough and Steve Backshaw, we're having long conversations, you know, and he's developing skills that he wouldn't necessarily have in a class of, you know, 20, 30 young kids of his own age.
Nobody ever predicted what the outcome of this year would have been. And what we've been able to do, you know, getting closer to our friends and families, but tying into what you've been doing recently with your mental health and, you know, looking after people. All it takes is a very few minutes for you to check on friends and family. And, you know, and I've had that time. I've had that time to check up on friends and families and do it from there, rather than let the time squander. Because personally, for the past 4 or 5 weeks, probably even a bit longer, it's not been a holiday. It's been a case of living and dealing with the circumstances. And the other thing is, I will put my hands up. The Thai people are the most friendliest people I think I've ever met. Very, very generous, very forthcoming, very supportive. We've had people that stay local to us that have been supportive and accommodating. And if we have any problems, which we haven't, so in touch wood, they've been great in that regard. But it has been a difficult time, because don't get me wrong, like, you know, I want to get home regardless of what state the UK is, and, you know, I want my home comforts. I want to get eventually go back and see my mum.
Of course, and, I mean, your mum must be. Well, I know your mum's feeling it, because we're in touch, and obviously she's giving me updates as you are about what's happening with you. And I know, I mean, you're still her little boy. I can only imagine, you know, if Freddie or Oscar was stuck somewhere when they're older, how I would feel, and especially the uncertainty of this. Nobody knows really what it is and what's happening. So
even then,
there's basically no chance of you getting back really now before June. Is that right?
We still don't know when flights will come back in place. You know, Bangkok airport is open, however, again, they've closed the districts. So there's a thing that I believe they put in place where you have to actually gain a certificate, I think, basically fit to pass, to then get over the bridge in Phuket, to then get on to Bangkok. Right. But they opened up the bridge, and I may be wrong with figures, but I think what they intended for there to only be 5,000 people pass through, was like 40,000. So really? Even then, it was over. It was too much. So we've opted to just stay at Phuket, and Phuket Airport is meant to open on the 15th, and on the 4th. So we've got maybe another 2 weeks to see what will happen. Again, it can vary, but yeah, you know, I mean, I do want to eventually get home. I mean, at the moment, it's not a holiday. Some people may think, you know, don't get me wrong, the weather's great, it's nice, but it's not. You know, I'm with friends and that, and I actually thought to myself that 2020 was going to be the year, put everything into place, and use my knowledge that I have in nutrition and dietetics and everything else, and you know, make it go for it. And it's hindered that, but I've not let that upset myself, because you have to deal with it, and just as much as anybody else's, our circumstances have all changed, and we've just got to deal with it and be supportive for our friends and family. And I suppose the beauty of technology is that we can do things like this. Yeah. You know, I can speak to you on this. I can speak to my mum back home. I can WhatsApp friends. You know, and take it from there. So it's been a hard time. It has been difficult. I mean, there has been at times where I felt a bit low, and I've been a bit like, I just don't really know what's going on. But much the same everybody else's, and that's why I'm saying, going back to just checking on other people. You know, so it has been a hard time. It's been difficult, but
that's a very mature and understanding outlook, mate. And this is what amazes me, and especially when you've got people that have responsibility for either elderly people or people that aren't well, or especially children. and they're still all about, well, I want to go out and I can't wait till the pub's open and I need to do my workouts. Yeah, you need to exercise, but go for a walk, you know, do some press ups and, you know,
Yeah.
put some shopping in a carrier bag and do some bicep curls. I mean, improvise for God's sake,
Well, I'd like
while
to
being
think that,
safe and protecting others, because, you know, as you said there, you've got it worse than us. You've got tighter regulations and you're keeping
yeah,
a positive outlook, you know, and you're
I mean,
basically stranded, you know, and the
this
paradise that is out there is not accessible to you. So while people probably think you're, as I said, you made it very clear, you can't go to the beaches. You can't, you know, enjoy the splendor that is Thailand. So, you know,
I mean, I've been fortunate that I've been to Thailand 2 times prior to this, and
yeah,
I've seen the beautiful side, and I've seen also the party side, which is great. You know, I mean, I'm in my mid-20s, and obviously if I'm gonna enjoy my time, that be it. But I've seen a side out to Thailand, and I suppose I think nobody else would really get to see that it's a sense of community. You know,
yeah,
it's
but
been
the people are amazing, you know. They're not
outstanding.
all Buddhist, but that kind of philosophy, that you know, kind of, we are a community looking out for each other, is there all the time. But it must really be enhanced now, and they are an amazing people. I saw that with my few trips out there, and I've seen nothing like the situation you're going through. So it's amazing that they're giving you, essentially, the tourists that are stuck there, you know, their time, their empathy, their, you know, their help.
They've
So
been great. They've been really great. And I suppose going back to, you know, working with what we've got at the moment, and I suppose everybody back home can resonate that, you know, doing exercise, you know, you can get out and do your morning walk. And thankfully, over here, the weather's great. You know, I've not had to go out and put jumpers and hats and things like that on to get my morning cardio in, because I know the benefits of it. But, you know, doing your bodyweight exercises outside, you know, people's outlook on gyms and subscriptions and things like that are going to hopefully change, and they can see the magnitude of things that you can do in your house in terms of keeping healthy and keeping sane is great. So I hope for a lot of people that when this hopefully ends sooner rather than later, that they can see the benefits of doing different things rather than thinking that they have to have a gym subscription, and if they don't attend that, then they can't achieve what they want to. Because my outlook on training has completely changed as well. I mean, I was very much doing my morning cardio because I know the benefits of it, to then go to the gym, do my resistance training, which is still very important. But
yeah, I mean, nobody's knocking the gyms, but at this moment it's not a safe environment. But you know, the if you look at what people from, you know, around Europe, the wilds of, you know, kind of bloody America, the mountains of Canada, people get outdoors. People are cycling and kayaking and hill walking, and obviously we're restricted on that. Let's be honest. But getting back to, I love my daily walk, especially with Oscar. We were splish splashing in the little stream down the road. So he's literally around the corner, but you know, he's got his wellies on, and I couldn't get him out of there. He was absolutely loving it, you know, and this is what we need to do is go out and play. And I mean, as adults, go out and you know, when we can, share that with others, which we can't at the moment, but get back to the real world instead of being confined to four walls and, you know, sanitized machines.
I think it's great to see as well that with what's happening, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is terrible what's happening globally, but I'd like to think that a lot more families are now closer together. And I mean, for me personally, I mean, I know from being thousands of miles away from my mum and my sister that it's brought us closer together regardless. I mean, we already had a very close relationship, but the fact that you get to spend time with Oscar like that, and you know, and Freddie as well, it's fantastic. But it's been a difficult time. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like I said, this is day 50 out here, and still unknown. But accepting that and having the friends and family to support you, has been great. And again, that just ties back to what we said at the very start about having somebody there to be supportive. I mean, you were there for me at the very start when it was my educational experience getting into nutrition and dietetics and the hard end stuff of it. But from there, I mean, our friendship's blossomed, and I can't fault that. You know, we're very close friends now.
Yeah.
You know, I see you as a father figure in that regard.
Whoa, slow down now. You'd be taller and better looking. Sorry, Ruthers.
But do you know what I mean? You know, and for anybody that listens to this, if they do in the future of that, all I can say is that if you can resonate with somebody that you feel comfortable with and feel like you can open up with, just please do it, because it can change your life. No, don't get me wrong. I didn't do the conventional way now with my degree, where I went straight into the NHS, which is not nobody's fault. It was my own choice, because I felt that there was a position for me elsewhere to do differently in terms of what you have done with the numerous clients you've done. And it's a big credit to you. So that's all I can say in that regard. So I think people need to keep their heads up. I mean, it's a difficult time for your mental health, not just your physical health as well. It's a hard time being alone. But
I'm alone half the week. Outside of seeing Oscar, I'm isolating. I do a shot once a week, and I don't care what I look like. I've got my gloves, which I use properly. I put gloves on when I go in, and I dispose of them straight away. I take different gloves to unpack. People think they put a pair of gloves on and wear them the whole day. People driving around with masks on in their own car. Some people just need to go back to some NBC drills, folks, in the military. But I've got my mask on, I've got a shield, and we're wearing these when we go out in the street that we don't need to, but raising awareness, making a bit of a joke of it. But it might click with some people. Geez, but the fact that they're enforcing that, if you want to call it that, in Thailand, I know they're doing the same in Dubai. I've got students in Dubai. They're very strict in Dubai, very, very strict.
Well, that's the thing. So our airline was meant to be Emirates, and so they basically done. So I mean, we've not heard anything from them in that regard, and we won't until they decide, the government itself. So,
well, fingers crossed you get back, because I know you want to see Yazzie. And is she down south still?
She's in Bristol. She's still in Bristol with her fiance. So I mean, and from what I've heard so far, she's fine. And my mum's fine as well.
Excellent. I mean, well, I know they want to, going to want to see her when everything opens up. You'll have to have a family get together. But I'm going to put you on the spot now for the Saturday. And Ruth hasn't asked me to do this, and I'm sure Yazzie's probably whinged and moaned at you. What are you going to do in the next few years, pal? What are you going to do with all this amazing information you have in this? And you have got a phenomenal mind. You're a very well balanced young man. You always have been since the age I met you at 18. You got a great head on your shoulders. Nothing wrong with staying in hospitality in the bar and stuff. I'm going to ask you now. So this is going out as evidence. What are your plans? You've had a lot of time to sit and reflect. You said you've been there for 50 days. You must have had some thought about your future. So we've talked about it quite a bit. What are you going to do with yourself?
This is me. So with regardless to what's happened at the moment, so when I'm going back, this is me. I'm going to start off on my own. I've got the knowledge base there to start taking on people, be it small people at a time, and develop from there. I've got the knowledge base. And because I got to a point when I was in my mid-20s where I thought, no, I need to keep learning. And then I had a sudden realization that all I was basically doing was chasing the dragon, because you're never going to know everything. No. But you're going to know something to a point where you know that you can help somebody. So from there, when I get back, I'm going to start up my own, and I'm going to take it from there. I'm going to use the skills that I've acquired from yourself, from my university degree, from my placements, and I'm going to develop from there. And it's going to take time, and I'm going to be very honest with people that if they have questions that I don't know, then I'm going to be honest with them and say, I don't know these things, but I will promise you that then I will find the answer eventually at the time. And I'm not going to be the person that will charge them X, Y, and Z for a genetic program, because from what I've learned from you, everybody is different. Everybody has different needs. Everybody has different requirements. Everybody is different in terms of physique, mentally, nutritional requirements. And from there, I'm going to take it. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time. And I don't care about social media in that regard. I don't care that people are posting things, they've got so many followers and that, because I know what's true to me, and I know what I've learned is the truth and what is going to be the future in terms of personalized medicine, and I'm going to take it from there. And I know that I've got somebody like yourself to ask in terms of I've got questions and that, and I'm going to develop from there, and I know I'm going to exceed in that. It's just unfortunate with regards to what's happened that it's going to take a bit longer, but that's fine, Use your time wisely.
Well, in a way, it might take longer, but then I think for some people that have gone out there and actually stepped back and looked at the situation, the importance of a healthy immune system, importance of mental health, and other challenges, that this has brought, I think there could be a surge in people wanting to find the right information. I just hope and pray that they hire professionals. Because there's so many charlatans and woodlice and wannabes coming out of the woodwork.
To you. How do people distinguish that from the charlatans?
But it's hard because I've put a post up today, this morning on my Facebook, if you have a look. It's two major, like the big players, the big companies. And then I've seen another 3 companies since, because you know what the algorithm in Facebook's like once you've noted one. So I'm seeing all these people popping up offering full-on qualifications in personal training, saying 100% online, no need to go into a gym, you will be fully qualified. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, this has happened in the past, but now they're bragging about it. strength and
hard.
conditioning coaches, British Weightlifting Association. You can be a weightlifting coach, you know, associated with, you know, kind of strength and conditioning, Olympic teams. No need to go to the gym. Wow. Now, if it was a course that has been, you know, kind of doctored specifically for online, where train at home, keep it safe, you know, no weights, body weight, I'd get it. But these are the big players, and I won't name names. You just have a look at my posts, some of them. And they're just latching on like parasites to the opportunity, offering a bit of discount, but giving nothing. It's going to be a download, read it, you're qualified. You know, how are they going to assess? How are they going to look at, you know, postural individualities? Because when you teach any exercise or bodily movement by textbook, it's not going to suit everyone. You'd be lucky if it gets 5%. I mean, you know, just a simple squat. A simple squat is going to vary from person to person according to ability, about biomechanics, about, you know, joint location, shape and size, previous injuries. It amazes and disgusts me. So in answer to your question, people have got to be very stringent. People have got to look at not just the website and stuff. Yeah, I've got my qualifications, I've got who I've trained. Get on the phone. Don't ever book anybody blindly. Get on the phone, pick their brains, speak to them. Like you did with me, pal. You stopped me at the end of that,
I did that with you.
And chatted to me for an hour. And if that person instills some confidence, belief in you, and it's not sales pattern, so you need to know a little bit, hopefully, to differentiate between somebody who's good and a con man or woman. Check them out. Be stringent. Don't just, you know, go on search engines. Make the calls, and when we can get in about, meet them and say, look, you know, tell me why you're the right person. Give me your background. Give me your experience. Give me your education. Give me the application of that education.
That was one of the main things I think that I also resonated with you, was the fact that it was not necessarily your lack of social media exposure. It was the fact that you were very determined that the only way that you worked with people was on a one-to-one basis, because you can learn so much on a one-to-one basis over being at an email or a phone call or whatever, because it's so key. And I mean, I find that, you know, it's quite disgusting and it's hurtful to see people exploit that. You know, people's health is a very important thing. You know, if it was my mum, for instance, that had somebody that was basically selling her a generic plan and she wasn't going to get anywhere, and maybe not even the improvement to her health, I think I'd be disgusted to do anything like that. And I think, you know, we're not getting on to naming names and things like that, because we don't need to, but we're honest ourselves that, you know, working from a one-to-one basis is key, and doing things like this, you know, online, and, you know, lecturing and speaking to people and their experiences in that, and that's great, that's fine, because then people can see what's happened. Because, like I say, I hope people who watch this can see the benefits of a one-to-one experience and how it can change somebody's life. Because I never thought when I was 18-year-old leaving that I would then go on to study endocrinology and DNA analysis and nutrigenomics and extends that I have now, and have that knowledge. And yes, it was my fault that I've not then went on to use that, because I'll be honest, I've enjoyed my 20s and I've enjoyed working in a bar in Glasgow.
Nothing wrong with that, mate. You're a young man, God's sake.
Because I've had managers and friends that have been absolutely great to me. But proposing your question that you just said, but yeah, no, it's time. And hopefully, I'd like to think when I come back and can be in a position where I can help people, because people now are starting to think of things like their immune health and their mental health, and they're all tie in.
Yep.
And the body's a beautiful thing with everything going on, and I just like to think that people can find the right people that have the right knowledge, then they can do wonders, and then that's it. I mean, I find helping people is a beautiful thing, and I found that working in the hospital, you know, from the old person to the young person, you know, working with people and making them feel better is a wonderful thing, regardless of income. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, we have to make money somehow, we have to have a means to help either our friends or family and that, but the power of nutrition and everything that encompasses that is fantastic. And I've found that reflecting from being out here, you know, I mean, these Thai people don't have much at the moment, and yet they live a very happy and meaningful life. Be it with
maybe that's a secret, eh? Maybe people have and therefore desire too much of the things that really don't matter.
Yeah, you know, I think you're spot on with that. You know, I mean, it's been a very much an eye opener, regardless of what's going on. Like I said, it's very difficult. Very difficult. It's hard to see as well what's going on back home, and people, disregarding the social distancing and seeing them being in parks and things like that, because the knock-on effect is it can be devastating. That's saying this thing with coronavirus, that people would be carriers and yet being asymptomatic.
Well, I know people. I mean, obviously, I have a lot of people I've met over 27 years of doing this, and before that in the forces. But I've had people contact me I've not heard of for a long time. Some have been ill. There was one gentleman who was a student of mine years ago. He's been all over the news here in Birmingham. Gym owner, big, strong, ex-British champion bodybuilder. He was in an induced coma for 3 weeks. 20 days he was under unconscious. But he's come out and he's recovering. But he can only walk, and he's going to be good. But I've got other people that I know. And as a consequence of paying privately and stuff, they've had tests done and they've been completely asymptomatic and tested positive. Now, if we're willing to trust the test, because we know there's potentially false positives and negatives and stuff, and question accuracy, but if that test was reliable, and they did look into it, and it seems to be one of the better ones, then this person has, I know them, and they've got a good, strong immune system. They've supplemented for years. Actually, an ex-student of mine, strong constitution and immune system, but they could have been, if they'd have acted differently, because they have been isolating, they could have been infecting people left, right, and centre prior to that test, completely oblivious of it. So that's the dangerous bit. That's the dangerous bit.
That said, was it yourself or maybe somebody else that said basically they related coronavirus to glitter?
Yeah, I saw something about that. And imagine there's 10 bits of glitter. In fact, it happened to Oscar. Don't know what he's been doing at his mum's, but he came with a piece of glitter. He went and had his bath. In fact, he had it on. It was Friday, so he had it on. He's staying with me Friday now as well. So I've got him 4 nights a week. It's amazing. And he got up Sunday, and we had a little play around, and he had his breakfast, and he went for a bath. And there was still a bit of glitter on his face. He says, "What's your face?" He said, "Yes, Daddy." I says, "Not very well. He's still got a piece of glitter," which I'd seen. He must have come from McDonald's with it. And that's the way. But imagine a microscopic piece of glitter. They get everywhere, and you're like, "Where's that?" Days later. That's kind of like the virus, So we've got to practice the good hygiene, the PPE, this, that, and that. But the easiest way to think about it, act as if you've got it and everyone else has got it. And if you knew other people around you had it or you had it, stay away.
I hope people adopt I'd like to think that people would adopt things that were happening in Thailand, but with the UK. But it's different. I mean, and nobody's in control of that. But I have a question for you. So, with people being quarantined and now they're really starting to consider their health, and they're actually starting to think of things like their immunity and different things like that, and not necessarily just things but the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins that go into their body. Where would you advise people to then look and go to if they really want to start considering that, and not necessarily have to pay fortunes in terms of either purchasing things or going on a specific diet? What would you say?
Get back to real food. Cool. Get back to real food and colours. There's a big thing. I've been reading lots of different theories and stuff, but antioxidants as well as immune boosters. And I know antioxidants have a crossover effect on the immune system, but we're looking at detox pathways. Very important. So get a range of colours. And I know it's kind of cliche, but get all your rainbow of colours on your plate. Cut out your processed foods, reduce your alcohol, reduce your processed foods, etc., etc. So vegetation. So you'll know what I'm talking about, but your carotenoids and your carrots, you've got your lycopene and your tomatoes, you've got, your reds and your greens, and you've got all your different colours. Get your fibre, it's going to help kind of clean the system out. But get back to real food and cooking responsibly. I don't own a microwave. I would say if you do have a microwave, use it as little as possible. You're not in a rush to go anywhere because you can't go anywhere. So cook from fresh. Stay well hydrated. Be careful about training excessively. I do encourage movement, stretching, and exercise, but you shouldn't be doing beastings and regular HIIT training. And even if HIIT is your thing, do it, every other day, because the immune system gets overly challenged and it takes too long to recover. So if you're hitting, and this is what we talked about in the FSN all those years ago, neuroendocrine immunology, so it all links up. The central nervous system and your hormones and your immune system. Overtraining suppresses your immune system, whereas training stimulates and levels out and supports your immune system. So stimulates isn't always the right word. We're not raising it. We don't need to be overactive. We don't autoimmune disease. We're talking about it is responsive and efficient. And then good baseline supplementation. And I know you said don't spend too much, but by the same token, don't cut corners and buy rubbish. Don't buy your cheap high street online brands. Somebody put loads of articles on this morning saying I've got an amazing multivitamin from one of these cheap online. I looked at it and it was absolute nonsense. But this is a bodybuilding champion who thinks he knows what he's talking about. Everyone's following him. I look at the ingredients, you know, the mineral carriers, and he's got his zinc oxide and his chromium chloride and his synthetic vitamin. I was like, you haven't got a clue what you're doing, pal.
No.
I'm not going to put a post. I'm not going to get negative, but please hire a professional for a small investment.
Yes.
It will save a lot of money, time and anguish. So a good multi, and then if you've got the means and the finances without getting over expensive, vitamin D3, vitamin C, zinc, antioxidants. You know, there's a whole, you could go into CoQ10 and alpha lipoic acid and glutathione, but it's going to get silly. I know you all know what I'm talking about, but for a lot of people, that might seem a bit much, both financially and just an overload of information. But get your colours, eat regular, keep your blood sugar levels balanced, get outside, get fresh air, and socially interact at a distance. We need human connection, and that is really important for our mental health. But also the immune system, you know, if you're making connections, you know, on phone calls, on video calls and stuff, it stops you getting down, because when you're getting stressed and anxious, that's utilizing loads of nutrients up. As you know, your magnesium's getting chewed up, your vitamin C's getting chewed up, your B vitamin's getting chewed up, your zinc's getting chewed up, all by the adrenals. Guess what they all do? They all help the immune system.
Exactly.
So anxiety will make your immune system weak as a kitten.
It's the beauty of it. I mean, like I say, I learned from very early on all these aspects from you and from the academy, and it's continued on. And then I just wish it's hard for other people to comprehend that. I wish everybody in the world knew that how this is the way it worked, and it was a multifaceted thing, and it was all interlinked. But I mean, it's difficult and it's hard to get that message across to people. And there's very slight few people around the world that are doing that. And I mean, and then you fight another battle to then try and have. I mean, you lose all your energy to then call out other people and that, and it's just not helping anybody. But
no, I can't be bothered with that. I mean, you know how frustrated I get with a lot of the so-called key players in this industry, but it's, you know, it's not for me to. They've got to sleep at night in their fancy houses. They've driven home in their sports car. Each to their own. You know, I know I make a difference. I have great respect for what you've done, mate. And when I see people literally with the potential that you've got, which is amazing. I'm glad to hear, you know, the plans when you come home and what other people have done. And when, you know, my ex-students go on to become the lecturer, you know, at various academies or educational establishments. I mean, that is what it's about, man. We are enhancing and changing. And, you know, at certain levels, certainly with what, you know, you potentially could be doing through, you know, medical establishments, because it might be you go into kind of private medicine, saving lives. You know, the advice that we're sharing in the immune system could absolutely, without a doubt, without making silly claims, save lives.
Absolutely. I mean, the simple things that we're even doing over here in Thailand, the hand sanitizer everywhere. You know, I honestly believe that is saving people's lives. You know, regardless of going in, getting it, and then when you leave the store, you're getting it as well. The surgical mask, because you know the science says that not necessarily that it can prevent you, but the person that may have something, it might reduce the risk of spreading that.
If you're asymptomatic, accidentally sneeze, but even if it's it's only 1-2% effective, you know what? If it's 0.1% effective, it's worth it, isn't it? Because you add up all these little percents. You know what you've got an increased chance of either not getting it or lowering the severity and duration, because we know about viral load, it's the amount you get hit with. So if you cut down exposure by separation or barriers, you know what? There's no guarantees, because there's this whole thing about herd immunity. Maybe we do need to get it. Maybe we need to get that adaptive immunity rather than immunization and vaccines, which you know, lots of people have opinions, including me, but certainly that might be a year off. But don't get hit with massive overload of it with a weakened system, then you're in trouble. And it's not just the elderly and the ill. There's children, there's healthy adults, there's athletes in this.
I mean, that's
tired of hearing only the ill, only those with underlying health problems. No. I know students of mine, people that I won't mention names, but you know, people you've been on courses with, and they've not had it horrendous, but they've had it quite bad. and you know, they're following the practices that I've taught for years that you are knowledgeable about and quoting. They're doing it, and they've still been sick.
I know. I mean, this was at the very start. They only thought there was the two categories. It was either going to be the people that were elderly or the people that were going to be prone to having it, and it's not the case.
No.
Not the case. You know, you see horror stories in the news of healthy people that have been no underlying health issues that went on to have it and then unfortunately passed away. And it's horrible. You know, that's people's families, and it's such a daunting time. It's such a horrible time. But like going back to what we've been saying, if you can follow the guidelines that's been put out, because you know the NHS has been doing a fantastic job. You know, the people at the forefront have been amazing. Look what Captain Tom Moore has done; it's been incredible. But we follow these guidelines. You know, it's public health guidelines, and I know they're not. Public health guidelines aren't necessarily meant for an individual people. You know, much what we've been saying, because we can help people on an individual basis. But public health guidelines are there to help the general mass, and if we can help prevent the cause and spread of something like this, and help save thousands of people, and help save many people from anguish and being hurt by the loss of family members, then it's a no-brainer for me. That's why I'm saying it's difficult being over here and seeing people disregard the guidelines and, you know, going out to parks and drinking and things like that. That's why I think what Thailand have put in place, regardless of it's been hard for me and it's been a bit boring, you know, but that's fine. You know, in the long run, if I can help prevent the cause and spread of this virus and the anguish of people's family dying, then that's a no-brainer for me. And that goes back to, I suppose, us being honest and being true and helping people the best way that you can and providing honest knowledge and the correct procedures in terms of people achieving what they want to achieve. And that's all I can say. And that's came down, I mean, like I say, I'm only 25-year-old and I've had that same attitude since I've been 18-year-old because of me meeting you and following somebody that's been true and wanting to do good rather than doing it for a financial gain or to get social media exposure or to be famous or whatever the fuck that these people want to do. Because it gets upsetting sometimes. It's hard to see that, and I suppose it's been a bit discouraging for myself. Probably been a bit too late to get involved in it because I've seen the whole social media side and things like that. And don't get me wrong, that's fine if that's what people want to do. But for me, I've got to be true to myself. I've got my own morals, and I've learnt them from you, and then that's it. So I can't fault what you've taught me over the course of the years. You know, from all the knowledge to drinking so much gin that it works in two ways. It's twofold. You know, people need to still enjoy themselves.
You've got to have a balance, haven't you? A drink in each hand.
but you know, like I say, during this time, it's been a big eye opener. You know, it's been tough. But I think if people can get through this by learning a new skill or by getting in touch with former friends and family that they've maybe not been as close with, you know, at the end of this year, hopefully beautiful things could happen, because it's been a very hard year. You know, we're only into May. You know, it's been a short year.
Oh, this is going to make this, you know, we are living through history. You know, your children will be reading about this if, you know, you can ever get a girl drinking off. But, you know, I'm getting Oscar he's writing letters for himself in the future. He's making records of his favourite things. He's doing colouring in. He's on top of his schoolwork, because the memories he's going to have when he's older, he will be part of what will be in the history books. And I just hope it has, as you know, and there's going to be tragedy. There has been tragedy, but ultimately I hope there's a happy ending. And it's our responsibility, you know, worldwide, as, you know, good, upstanding members of the human race, to think of others, act responsibly, you know, get educated a bit about it, and just do what we can for ourselves and those that we love, and complete freaking strangers, because our negligent actions or our positive ones will have such a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
Like probably no other time in history, that, you know, certainly, you know, the modern era. So thanks for your attitude, mate. You know, it's so, you know, kind of comforting, you know, and like you said, you've had this since you're 18. So some of the people out there need to grow up. They just need to step back and get away from the mirror and look at the outside world rather than themselves.
Absolutely. Like I say, I mean, I've got a very close family. You know, my mum's a very important person to me, and to think that anything could ever happen to her on the premises that other people don't follow certain guidelines, it's difficult, especially being all the way out here.
Yeah.
But if people want to do things in their life, you know, regardless of what, obviously I've chosen my career to be, and I was so thankful that I'd found somebody like you. But if if anybody wants to do anything, be it, I don't know, you know, an engineer or whatever, and that, if you can resonate and find somebody that's at a level that you aspire to be to, you've just got to grab them by the hand and just be like, can I speak to you? Because speaking to people is such an important thing. You know, you can learn as much as you want through a textbook, but there's different things that you can learn from speaking to a person on an individual basis. And it's honestly, I can't resonate as much as I can that just going for it and speaking to somebody. And it's unfortunate I had a bad experience prior to meeting you, but then it's made all up for it, because what I know now, you know, without saying a bit like Kerry did that or being a bit conceit, is it's going to hopefully help people in the future, and that's all I want to do.
Without a doubt.
So all I can say is thank you to you, and I mean, I'm really glad that I've met loads of people throughout your courses, and you know, coming down to even just visit you off the chance in Birmingham, or either you coming up to Glasgow.
Well, we'll be definitely doing that, mate. I'm sure there's a bottle of Buckfast with your name on it. I don't want it.
You know, I mean, I'll hold my hands up as well. That I say I'm 25 years old and I'm managing the bar moment, and I've been enjoying it. But I know it's right for me. And going back to what your question about wanting to do now, and I know hopefully when I can come back, I can start putting that into place. But no, I've enjoyed bottles of Buckfast in my time and lots of gin. And you know, it's a part of growing up. Part of growing up. You know, you can't hold on to what your past has been. You know, I've not done anything bad. I've just enjoyed.
No, you're a good lad, mate. You're a good lad. I know your mum's amazingly proud of you, and your sister as well, mate. So you stay safe out there. If you do manage to track down an illicit bottle of Singer, have a cold one for me.
I will do. You know,
keep in touch. We'll have a catch up.
Thank you, Cain. Honestly, thank you for everything that you do, not just for me, but everybody that you've helped. And I hope people that watch this who don't necessarily know who you are through knowing me, I hope if they ever have any health queries or anything like that, then I please advise them to speak to you. Just be honest and please, don't go for the mainstream. Look for the people that are doing the groundwork, because it makes a difference. Like I say, I would never be where I am at the moment if it wasn't for you. Maybe in Thailand, you know, but probably not for the wrong reasons. But I can't honestly put into words how much that short meeting has impacted my life. You know, I've been on TV, I've been cooking on TV, I worked in a restaurant and all these things.
This man loves his onions. We'll have to put the clip up. He loves it. He had the biggest onions I've ever seen. That's not a...
People just need to just go for it. But having somebody there that's supportive, it's not necessarily your family or friends. It's somebody in the field that you want to get into. It makes the world a difference, you know. And I'm even talking about being at university. You know, I had some great lecturers and that, but I can honestly say what I've learned from you in regards to nutrition and health and everything else, it encompasses what I've learned from university, and that's down to you. You know what you've taught.
Well, I'm not finished yet, mate. Not finished yet. I'm learning more. As you know, I'm teaching the first aid mental health. I'm always doing CPD courses. I want to offer more master classes. You know, I want to bring over Amaru again. We've got Alexander Ferretti. You've not seen lecture. He's a phenomenal telling guys. Passion is fantastic. He lives it. He breathes it. And he's, you know, he gets papers published. So we've got more in the bag. Just stay safe. Get yourself home. Look after your mum and your sister. And then we'll, as soon as we can, mate, I'll be on a flight up there, all right?
Well, you take care in the meantime. I give the boys my love.
Will do, mate.
Soon, and I'll be safe.
Will do. Take care. Thank you,
take care, right?
Look after yourself, mate.
Bye,
love you, man. Love you.
Love you, bro. Bye-bye.